shit. We did it.
We did it! Yay! The counting has completed. All right, where the fuck is my sheet?
Basic
it's on this
math.
one. Got it. I got it now. Basic math indeed. Great Scott, we can do a count. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Is it a little late to ask if this is the first Panda View of the year? I don't think it is.
It's
I think this is not the first we've recorded this year for Panda View, but it might be the first that. No, it can't be because it was recorded and released post. What do you call it? I think Godzilla.
Oh no, we did
right?
Godzilla. That's true.
Oh yeah, I was on that. I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
you were there.
I was there for that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you maybe go through a weird journey where you went back through time and then maybe you took yourself out of the podcast or something like that and you don't remember it or something? I don't know.
You know, if there's
bear shit.
My bad. I'm trying to find a line to lead us into the subject matter.
We just do every other back in time bit other than Back to the Future.
Except Back to the Future, yeah.
Dude, actually though, what if?
What is this Marvel's Infinity War bullshit?
Or the one from the Teen Titans episode where they do the timey-wimey shit.
Yeah, what is it? What is this Doctor Who bullshit?
Please,
that's what I'm saying, dude.
Now let's talk
We're
about
going
Dr.
to talk
Rick.
every single piece of time-traveling pop culture except fucking Back to the Future. So anyway, Steins Gate's a great show.
I agree.
Anyway,
I love Rick and Morty.
Sorry.
I love Rick and Morty.
Dude, that's it. This is the Rick and Morty cast. That's right. If anything.
Yeah. Okay. Before we go any farther with dumb jokes.
Well,
that's what we came here for.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying. I wrote this thing. We're gonna do the thing, and then we can make the dumb jokes more.
Let's get it.
Great Scott! I've finally done it. After 30 years of hard work and failed projects, I finally found the perfect movie. It blends all that you could want into 120-minute feature film. It's got heart-pounding action. It's got sweet toe-tapping tunes. Hell, it's even got a bit of incest fantasy for the freaks out there.
Please, God.
What more could you even ask for? Wait, where did I get the rights for this movie, you ask? Well, you don't come by a movie this great on any old movie rental store shelf. I had to rip it from the dying hands of those old farts of the Academy. But don't worry, I replaced it with a copy of Basil on vinyl, so they'll be none the wiser. Wait, oh shit, you hear that? Oh fuck, they found me. I don't know how, but they found me. I got a GTFO. Hey, you there? Huh? You're gonna finish the rest of the summit, all right? I gotta go. It's too much.
Hey, wait. Damn it, he's gone. All right, well, I guess I'll wrap this up so I can go home finally. Back to the Future is a classic movie about a kid named Marty who ends up traveling to the past and accidentally causes his own future to hang in the balance. He interrupts the meeting between his mother and father and inadvertently causes his own mother to have the hots for him. Heavy. To fix the timeline and return to the future, he enlists the help of young Doc Brown, creator of the time machine that caused this conundrum in the first place. The ensuing movie is packed with fun references to 80s media, lessons in confidence building, and science, bitch! Fucking, who's the science guy that we always listen to in high school? He would be proud. Bill Nye. Now we're talking. This movie has Bill Nye's seal of a fucking approval guaranteed.
100%.
But
especially at the very end when we get clean nuclear energy powering the vehicle or whatever.
No, you're right. Clean nuclear energy. That's where we're sticking.
Well, I guess it is clean by default. I'm sorry. Easily accessible via blender technology. Nuclear energy is what I meant to say or whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to reference literally the last minute of the movie within the first start of this fucking episode.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good Panda View if you did it. I'll be honest.
All right, guys. Great recording. See you next time.
Yeah. Listen. My bad.
But with that being
somebody
said,
else talk, all right?
With that being said, I guess we have to jump back into the DeLorean and jump back to the beginning of this movie then.
Yep, you see? It was all planned. It was all planned from the start. Thank you, Lauren.
What are you talking about?
All right, boys, back to DeLorean. Let's start the movie.
All right. I have a couple of fun facts for myself about this movie, but I feel like in true disjointed fashion, we should probably just talk about the scenes and some of the fun things about the movie first, and then I'll make everyone aware of how fucking dumb I am later.
Well,
let's
intro this even further a little bit. I imagine we are all in a general consensus on this, but we like Back to the Future, correct? This is good. good movie?
Yes, beyond
Okay.
shadow of a doubt. I've always liked all three Back to
This
the
shit is
Futures.
rockin' daddy-o.
That shit is rocking daddy-o.
Daddy-o.
In fact, I also like
Said
that the one
only
time they
daddy
used
here.
Say
the
that
only
more. I love
daddy-o
it.
used in the entire movie. That's a writer that knew what they were doing.
Oh,
They knew the
100%.
assignment.
He nailed it.
They were like, we
Also-
can't overflow this movie with too many daddy-os because I gotta save it for this one. It's like when to keep your PG-13 rating, you only get one F-bomb. Those writers were like combing through the script. We're only getting one daddy-o.
I'm glad
This
you
is it.
mentioned that because my note is watching this for this. I've seen this movie a few times throughout my life, but first I'm watching it as like a later adult. Bro, they curse a lot. The shit was dropped.
Mhm.
The word shit was dropped constantly. Throughout the entire movie, the word shit was dropped, and that's one of my favorite profanity words, so I'm happy as a motherfucker. But great. It was like, I just
My
love the movie.
favorite
Mhm.
profanity.
Yeah, shit.
My favorite of the profanities, in fact.
But yeah, no, I can't wait to see you geek out of this movie because my notes are I just have kind of just like funny. I just have just my brain. I just wrote down how my brain reacted to some of the first like some of the moments that happened in the first quarter of the movie. Because once we get into the actual Back into the Future kind of concept, things are kind of railroad. But in the first quarter of the movie, there's some stuff that's just my brain just couldn't not write down, and I can't wait to get into that one.
Well, I mean, I'll even lead. I did not remember the guitar amp scene at all, and then I was like, I think my brain just like blacked out the start of the movie because all I remember is the clocks going off, and like that's when the movie started for me in my brain. So even watching the beginning of this movie, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And did I pick the right one? Is this Back to the Future 3 and
So,
I'm
yeah.
just stupid?
In the first and the movie starts off in the first minute of the movie. What I would call a severe anxiety attack has happened to me. Watching what happens in the first minute of this movie as we go through this dude's train wreck of a Rube Goldberg in his house, just all the cogs and gears, all the things happening, the coffee water hitting the hot plate, the dog food can just hitting the bowl, and just a complete everything that happened in the first minute of this movie gave me anxiety. I hated every minute of it. I cringed so hard. I was rolled up into a ball. Just
Not
Wow,
a fan of
it's
the domino
terrible.
effect, huh?
no, I love Rube Goldberg. It was just gross.
No, actually, I think you don't. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure
I think there's
it gives
got to
you
be some
anxiety.
deeper issue here.
Oh no, it was just gross. It was just disgusting. And on a cleanly level, gross. And on
My God,
on
it's just a Rube Goldberg machine. Like,
No,
what's the problem?
it's
The
not
fact that he used
the Rube
food?
Goldberg is not what he's
was
claiming
cool.
to be the problem.
The
His
Rube
problem-
Goldberg was cool.
How filthy it is.
How filthy it was. Agitated. This
I
man
don't,
didn't have
I don't
a
understand
floor.
this take. The dude had a can of dog food and it dumped it in a dog bowl. Like, who cares?
The clutter, the mess, none of that. You didn't see any of that. We didn't watch the same gross, filthy room.
Listen, buddy, like everyone's house has a little bit of clutter from time to time. Okay,
You're not
like
wrong.
I don't.
You're not wrong.
I don't
that's
ostracize
not
them
that's
based
not
on
a
that.
That's not. I'm not ostracizing. Yes, I am. That was not a little
You are
bit of clutter.
absolutely
You're
ostracized.
right.
This
That's
man.
why I
Okay,
corrected. That's why I corrected myself. I am ostracizing him. This man was just so much clutter. But like you said, we have Scotty McFly enters the
Scotty
room.
McFly.
Scotty McFly.
Did we just say Scotty
I
McFly?
did.
Called him
did.
Scotty
Marty
McFly.
Sorry. There's probably a culture reference that caused my brain to say that, and I can't remember it now. It was probably some parody of this movie, which has been done 1,000, if not 1,000,000 times. But Marty McFly
Yeah,
enters
it's called
the room.
Rick and Morty. We just
You're
talked
right.
about it.
There you go. Yeah, the guitar solo when he slams the amp. The only word I have to go with that was guitar slam. Fucking awesome. And that's it.
It's also just like, why? This scene just exists to like show, I don't know, like Doc's insanity with his inventions, and then I guess Marty's just willingness to employ them. I don't know,
And
because
I
it
relate.
just doesn't achieve anything other than comedic effect when Doc calls 3 seconds later and goes, "Hey, don't plug into the amp. It's something's fucked up." And then Marty's like, "Oh, right."
Well, I would have done the exact same thing, and now it's a new goal of mine. Send myself flying 5 feet with a guitar riff.
Get with a floor to ceiling speaker
Mhm.
amp.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's possible. I
Well-
think he just would blow out his eardrums before that would happen.
I'll do it in
That's
the
the
name
part
of
that got
science.
me. Is I'm like, how is this man still able to hear? Like, my guy, you lost your hearing on this day. Today was the day you made yourself deaf, and you only have yourself to blame.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I would 100% recreate that for the sake of science.
What if the entire movie was just a weird dream Marty had after he like banged his head after flying
and
back
gave
10
himself
feet?
major brain damage, and this is just yep, I would believe that.
Dude, you know that there's some guy out there that made like a fucking like essay with that exact premise
On all
somewhere out
3
there on
parts,
YouTube.
too.
Someone made a fanfic.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
just all a fever dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other quote. When I was younger, Marty McFly, and still to this day, Marty McFly is one of the coolest pop culture kids to exist. And as I was watching this movie not too long ago, I finally came to the conclusion that I finally, after all these years, own his exact outfit. And I was proud of that. Down to the Nikes. Down to the fucking Nikes.
Well,
it was
all right.
great.
Pixar didn't happen.
Fucking, I bet.
Yeah, I'm gonna need proof on that, big guy.
I'll recreate it right when this. I'll recreate it and post it when this episode drops. Why not?
Okay, sounds good. Well, we'll put it on our Discord somewhere. Something,
Yeah,
I guess.
Join the Discord to see Juan as Marty
As-
McFly.
My Marty McFly cosplay.
Oh my god! All right, so but moving on from whatever the hell this, we spent like 10 minutes talking about the most useless opening scene of the movie. We get into the parts that are actually relevant. We get into Marty and all the shit that's happening around his town. We're given all these like fun Easter eggs to set us up for like, you know, payoffs throughout the majority of this movie. We get to know like who the mayor is. We get to see a bunch of buildings and like what they're currently looking like in 1985. We of course meet all of Marty's family, his mom, his dad, his sister, his brother, whatever. And we get an idea for who these characters are or who they used to be before getting it. Because obviously, with the name of a movie like Back to the Future, let's pretend that this is the first time any of us are watching this.
Of course. And
Clearly,
with that
we
being
all know
said,
what's
you
going in.
skip something very important.
What's that?
He does one of the coolest things that most kids only could dream about doing. A good chunk of this movie, Marty McFly is car surfing with a skateboard, where he is getting
Dude,
around.
he does it for like a minute. He does it for like a minute.
He does it to get around the town in the first quarter of the movie, and then later on, he does it again. It is the coolest thing. You cannot just.
My guy, you are giving him so much credit. He did it in like the opening montage when he went to school, and he did it one more time in the 50s.
Yeah.
That's it.
And he's cool. It is cool.
I'm not saying it's not cool. It's not the first quarter of the movie. It's for like 1-2 minute sequence.
It was important to me.
Okay, Jesus fucking Christ.
It was a quarter of the movie to Juan because he watched it at 1.5 speed.
I did. So shout out to
like
all
that was the movie.
Shout out to all the people who also watch movies and anything in 1.5 speed.
No, we don't
you.
shout those people out. We
love
shame
you.
them.
Pooh, you're the best.
We absolutely shame those people. And, okay, there's no way that somebody like Pooh watches movies at 1.5 speed.
I bet she does.
That's just nonsense.
I bet you she does.
I can't
All right.
believe that. I refuse to believe
So what
that.
were you going
Christian-
to say about the rest of the movie now, or the first bit of the movie besides
Me
fun?
or Juan?
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to hear Juan anymore.
I have so much more.
I know. I
We're
know you
getting
do,
all
but
these tidbits.
I know, but
We get
you've
all
talked for the
these
last like 5
tidbits.
minutes.
Well, it's the only other things I have is within the high school there was something.
Hey, what did I just say?
Hey, Dick, it was going back to the small little things I thought were that Brendan said that
Go
would
ahead,
recur.
Juan. The floor is yours. Floor is yours.
It was the band Marty McFly's band name. Do you guys remember it?
He was the Pinheads.
I didn't know that. I didn't pay attention to that. What is the relevance of Pinheads?
Oh, I just thought it was everything when he was talking about the pinheads and all the other things. The pinhead was a style back in that day when people would take their gel, and Marty McFly's thing started it. It was a band called the Pinheads, and they used to like twist their hair into like the really spiky points. It was really cool. It was like a fashion sense, and it was a fashion statement back in the day. There was also hall monitor douchebag, the bald guy that comes up later on in the movie, and there is something that I did want to mention, which is there's a couple of characters I understand by, casting reasons why this happens. Dude doesn't age. He went back to whether we've seen him in the beginning of the movie or at the end of, beginning of the movie or when they go back in time, the hall monitor, the bald
Strickland.
dude. Yeah.
What a cunt that guy is.
What a cunt. One, yes, but he doesn't change regardless. And I hated him at all time periods.
I would like to chime in and say for the audience, in case you are unaware and it's been a while since you've seen this movie, every single character that has a past and present persona were all played by the exact same actors. In the parents' case, they were all aged up with makeup to be in the present timeline. In the hall monitor's case, I assume it was just like the guy. Doc was somebody that was really just an old man in the present timeline, and they tried to age him down when they went back in time. But
That
that
did not work,
though.
It did not work.
They really didn't.
I don't think
they barely did anything.
I don't think they did.
That was Rick Sanchez for 25 years. He was Rick Sanchez exactly.
The one thing
Didn't they like give him like blondish hair though a little?
No,
the one thing
not
they
even a little bit.
do in the past is make it so when he first meets young Doc Brown, it's the same dude. They've done nothing to Christopher Lloyd, right? That's his last name, Christopher Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
They have done nothing to Christopher Lloyd. Eventually, they cut his hair, so he does have shorter hair at one point when he's back in 1955. So that's like the one thing. But one of my favorite quotes in this movie is when they're watching back the videotape that Marty has, which for some reason Doc just has the ability, like the necessary cables lying around to plug it into the ancient tube TV and play it. Is when Doc is looking at himself in the future and he's like, "Oh man, I'm old." It's like it's the same. It's you. That's you. It's the same. You look exactly the same right now as you do in the future.
Mirror, my man.
Apparently, mirrors didn't exist back then.
Or Doc was just extremely narcissistic because it's the same person. It's the same
he
guy.
might be. That wouldn't be a surprise.
It is a good bit though. I love
that quote so much.
Yes.
It's a real standout. But yeah, the hall monitor guy is there. I don't know if they aged him up or down. I assume down a little bit.
I'm not convinced they did for him either. But
I don't either.
They just like let him show up again.
Yeah.
But then reconnecting to Brendan's statement, we do get a lot of kind of like hints and tidbits towards things that they'll be referencing later on in the movie as we've explored the town, the high school, and everything else. I actually, because I figured that Brendan was going to be here, I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite vehicle that you saw? Particularly because you don't see a lot of, I mean, if it is in the back to the 1955 portion of this movie, yeah, they had cars. But in that, 1985 portion, there's a lot of really cool vehicles that we see. I wanted to know if you had any particular vehicle that you saw there that was pretty cool, other than obviously the DeLorean.
I mean, I was just gonna say, the DeLorean was really cool.
Wow. the DeLorean is always
like,
cool.
I'm like, okay, I like cool cars. I'm also not somebody that can like name a make and model and year from like any like just from looking at something. Although I can usually like find a decade. 80s, honestly, they have a lot of L's in my personal opinion. 80s does not have a lot of good looking vehicles.
You weren't a fan of the Toyota
60s
car, the Toyota truck?
Honestly, it just looks like today's truck, but like slightly shittier. I'm gonna level with you.
I'll take that.
It looks like a Tundra today, but with like a semi worse body style. Like it doesn't speak to me at all. It looks almost too like what we already have, so it doesn't have any real character. I need something from like the 60s and 70s to sink my teeth into. Like give me like an 80s Mustang or a 90s Mustang and tell me that any of those things look good.
No, I'll take that. That's all. That's a reasonable answer. I'll take that. Obviously I'm a DeLorean, which is fucking most people's dream if they had the money to buy a DeLorean. And there were just a lot of other retro cars in this era that I wanted to know if you had an opinion on. But other than that, that was my only question for you.
I loved every 50s vehicle we had. I think those things look fucking sweet. Well, actually, they're really like 40s probably, because like a lot of them you have to assume are like probably from families that they're not buying like brand new vehicles all the time. Although then again, this is back when people actually had disposable income, so maybe they are brand new fucking vehicles for all I fucking know.
God, imagine
the
that
American dream.
Income.
Dude, imagine having disposable.
Well, they also said that nobody has two TVs, so TV's gotta be less expensive than a car.
I think that's more just because people like don't like see. I think that's more of like a society thing. Like people can't fathom the idea of having two TVs. Like that's just fucking wild.
I feel you on that one. I definitely feel you on that one.
That's probably true.
Because they are. I mean, you saw the old man. The Lorraine's dad was already fiddling with the one TV they had. He's like, well, I don't want to fucking do this with two TVs. That sounds like a fucking pain in my ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Things are already too finicky. But going back to some of the fun things we got. Well, yeah, we really got most of the fun things by this point. So we get Marty's family. We get a lot of these like fun like not Easter eggs, but soon to be like relevant details for when Marty goes back in time. Then we get the inevitable Marty and Doc scene where Doc explains everything. He invented time travel.
Yes.
You guys ever
didn't
wonder
say it.
how they met?
Yes,
How
100%.
Dokken.
I need that.
Yeah.
I need that prequel. But there's also one thing I have in my notes that's just really big and bolded. And we don't have to talk about it because we're going to talk about it later. But it starts here. Fuck Biff.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Biff is an asshole through and
Yes.
through.
This first time we see Biff, I wanted to punch my monitor.
I mean, that is his goal. That's his
strongly
purpose.
dislike that character, and I'm going
means
to
they did a
dislike
great
him
job.
throughout the entirety of the movie. I'm going to dislike this, but
Yeah.
I dislike Biff.
That means they did a great job as movie
They did a
makers.
Fantastic job. They made Biff exactly the person they needed him to be. And for the context, for the folks at home, he was a bully, and he's like picking on Marty's dad in the 80s or whatever. He's like forcing Marty's dad to like do his supervisor work for him.
He crashed Marty's dad's car, then blamed Marty's dad for not telling him that the car had a blind spot.
What does that even mean? All vehicles have a blind spot.
Yeah.
Then
What does that mean?
Then proceeded to go, it's going to go on your insurance, not mine. Also, because your car had a blind spot and I was drinking and driving and I spilt beer on my suit, you also have to clean this. Proceeded to then walk to the fridge, go, I even got this car towed to your house and all you can offer me is a light beer.
I mean, to be fair, Miller Lite is a pretty subpar beer.
Yeah,
he did not get punched in the face enough. He did not get punched in his face enough.
The man needed more punches.
He needed
you mean the sexual assault wasn't the point?
We're gonna
that was
get
very
there.
clear?
We're gonna get
later.
there.
I guess that was later, to be fair.
This man is just atrocious. I hate this person on a human level. I hate everything about him.
He gets everything he deserves. That's for damn sure. By the time he gets to the 80s, he has everything he deserves. That's for sure. But anyway, so we cut to Marty and Doc, and of course the fabled scene, the not 1.1, not 1.21 gigawatts, but the scene where he goes, "I invented the flux capacitor."
Yeah,
the most important and probably most reused, like, technologically sounding thing in
pop culture history,
media of all time.
100%.
At this point,
100%.
when you say the flux capacitor, people know exactly what you're talking about, and everyone loves making that joke in all of their fields of study. At least I do. Like, even to this day, I mean, I do work with a bunch of fucking nerdy ass engineers, but every once in a while we'll be like, I wonder what component of the vehicle does that, and then somebody will just like chime in the back, did you check your flux capacitor?
That is
it generating the necessary 1.21 gigawatts?
Honestly, that bit also comes, but that we're not at that bit yet, Christian. All right, there's time to get to that bit. That's my second
it's
favorite
adjacent.
bit. It's adjacent, but we're not at the scene where we get 1.21 gigawatts. I guess we kind of are.
I'm pretty sure we are.
In
fact, I think the 1.21 gigawatts comes before his explanation of how the thing works.
That's fair. I think you're right.
Yeah, it's slightly. I can't remember that part. This part had something else that kind of had me like on a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. When he tested the time machine on the dog
with Einstein,
and
Einstein,
I was so upset watching this. I was like, how could you do that? How could you put a dog in the car, and then he made the car drive towards them, and I was like, oh, it's okay. If they fail, they all die. It's fine now.
I love it's insane. Marty at first tries to get out of the way of the car, and then Doc pulls him back, and Marty just like, all right, I guess I'm here. Doc lets go again. Like, he doesn't hold on to Marty, I'm pretty sure. So like Marty just goes, all right, I'm
run the fuck out of the way.
I'm just here now.
Dude, I'm not here to die for you, okay, Doc? I'm sorry what you think this relationship is, but I am not going to be here and die for you.
I relate with Marty because that's exactly what I put. I'm like, all right, I guess we're just gonna.
Doc says it's safe.
Okay. You stand in the middle of the road with an old man with a car coming straight at you. You start to move. He grabs your shoulder and just goes, no, stay here. And that's all it takes for you. You're gonna stay right there. Huh?
Watching this as the dog is in the front seat of the car driving towards them, the only thing that went through my brain was, wow, if this goes wrong, the headline would be, dog ran over two people with a DeLorean. So yeah, 100%.
One, I'm starting to think the way your brain works when you're watching movies isn't like other people.
No, because I think about, hey, if this happened and a dog was flying at me in a time machine, would I play the game of what would happen? And probably.
Well, continuing on from that scene, we of course, the dog does go through time and comes back, right? He traveled
forward.
He traveled forward a minute is what happened.
Yeah,
it was one jump. That's why he was gone for the split second or a minute or whatever. And then that's when Doc was like, "You see, I proved it. I did it. He's a time traveler. He's a time traveling dog.
Time traveling person ever." And it was a dog.
I do have a question. When we're in 1985 and he has a dog, what did he name that dog?
Einstein.
I'm sorry, when we're in 1955, excuse me.
What?
In 55, he had a dog, didn't he?
No, actually, I'm thinking about that. I don't think I noticed that. I don't think Einstein appears in the past.
Well, of course not. It's 30 years ago.
No shit, Sherlock. But that's the thing. He doesn't have a dog. It's just dogless. It's a dogless professor. It kind of feels empty.
Yeah,
I feel a little lonely now.
He doesn't have a companion yet. There is no dog.
Oh. For some reason, I thought there was a dog, but he named it something different, and I missed it. But I didn't want to pause the movie, so I just kept going.
No, I don't think there's a dog.
I made this up. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I thought I heard him say Edison or something like that at one point.
What I would probably say, and usually when we do these Panda Views or something involving an older movie, regardless of how old it is, there's always at least one thing that doesn't age well, or multiple things that don't age well. And honestly, with this movie, there's a lot of cringe, but this movie pretty solid. Except, at least for me, the one thing that I was like, this probably doesn't go super well was we then find out how Doc is fueling this thing because he ripped plutonium from Libyan nationalists who proceed to roll up in this bitch in the mystery machine.
Winnebago, dude.
And light up Doc immediately. Hysterical. Did it age well? But it's funny. So
I mean, it's okay.
I mean, honestly, if that is the least aged worthy thing in this movie, I'm gonna say I'll. But
that's what I'm saying.
It.
That's why I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Usually we'll get something a lot more raunchy, but all the raunchy stuff in this movie is cringe. Not so much
They just picked one of the least offensive Middle Eastern countries.
Yes,
basically.
Right. I think that's the part where I'm I'm just gonna roll with it. Obviously, is it great? Does it age like fine wine? Absolutely not. But in a lot of these movies that age poorly, it would be oh, I got some from the local gang, and then you know where it goes from there.
Oh, we cover that later, but I actually like that one.
Okay, well, either way, I don't know what he's on about
we'll
either.
Get there.
But we move on. I guess we'll get there, Christian.
Okay.
I don't know what he's on about either. But he gets plutonium from Libyan. Yes. Libyan nationalists. I don't know why I want to say they're from
library nationalists.
Library
nationalists.
He stole from a bunch of librarians, and they came through in the mystery machine and shot at him with an AK-47. And unlike stormtroopers, they hit him.
And the only reason we have the rest of the movie is because nobody knows how to maintain their guns, and they all jam all the time.
Yeah, but
nobody knows how to maintain their anything in this movie, at least in the beginning, because Doc's gun doesn't work. I don't know if it wasn't loaded or not, but he can't fire his revolver for some reason. And then the Libyan nationalist can't shoot Marty because his gun jams, and then the car doesn't start, so they can't run him over. And then Marty finally poses himself long enough to jump into the time machine and jet away.
And at 88 miles an hour, Marty proceeds to go back to the future after these guys.
I love the line that he says beforehand too. He goes let's see if you guys can do 90, which I think a Winnebago actually can't, but I'm surprised that he knows that, because most cars, even in the 80s, can easily pull 90 miles an hour. I don't think that's not a revolutionary speed.
I'm willing to bet Marty's a bit of a car guy.
Hey,
I
Christian,
guess, maybe.
If
Hi.
88 miles an hour was the speed you need to do to go back in time, how quickly could you do that going to work?
Oh, very easily. What are you talking about? We're in the far future from where they're at though. Like
I
cars,
thought that was funny because I'm like,
even
I'm
your
like,
average car can get up to like 60 miles an hour in like 5 or
that's
6
what
seconds.
I was thinking. I was like, damn, 88 miles an hour. I thought it was faster.
No, 88 miles an hour.
88
Is
miles an
nothing.
hour, is it?
I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll remember that next time. I'm running late somewhere. Just
Yeah. Next
gotta
time
go
I get a
back.
speeding ticket.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to go to the future, officer.
You're like, you don't understand my flux capacitor. I gotta go somewhere, otherwise it's gonna fry my vehicle.
The Libyans,
God.
they're coming.
The Libyans are coming.
I don't wish this. I don't. If anyone's watching this, I hope you guys never get a ticket. That'd be awful. I wouldn't wish that on that. That's a terrible experience. But if you do, and try
give
it, see if
that
it works.
those excuses a try. Yeah.
Give the excuse a try. See if it works. Yeah. So then Marty goes back in time. How
We did it. We made it to the past. 30
Finally.
minutes in, and we finally talked to the part where he's made it to the past. No, yeah, you made it to the. Continue on. Go ahead. Go
Oh no,
ahead.
we finally get back to the past, and Marty McFly. I don't even know how to. He lands in like a ranch, a farm. What the fuck does he?
Yeah, and then,
this
like, the
part doesn't
family-
make sense to me. He lands in the middle of nowhere, slams
Well-
into a
Oh,
barn.
whoa!
So that's
hold on. I
that's
can explain this.
explained. That is
Okay.
explained.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead, Brendan.
The reason why he's in the middle of a farm is because the time machine has one stipulation, and really only one stipulation. It takes you any when in time, but it always pops you in and out in the location with which you travel through time. So when he was in the parking lot of the mall driving at 88 miles an hour and then finally went through time, that mall wasn't zoned in the 50s. It belonged to it was a farmland belonging to presumably that family.
Yeah, and Doc talks about it just before they start doing the experiments, where he's like, "Oh, Mr. Peabody used to own all this farm here. He had big dreams of making a pine tree farm," and that's why when Marty goes back to the past. When he goes back to the past and then he almost gets killed for being an alien, he drives away. They show you the picture of the mailbox and it says Peabody on it, and Peabody in the background is shouting about, "Oh, you killed my pines, you fuck," and he's shooting the shotgun. Like, that's the reference they're making to 10 minutes before when Doc Brown was talking about this. And so you establish the rule of the car always goes to the same location, but
Gotcha.
to a different time period.
Also, why at the end of the movie when he was driving through the
He
near the
crashed
clock or
into the
whatever,
theater.
yeah,
Mhm.
he just
Yeah.
immediately crashes into the theater.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It's
I
like-
didn't catch that. I didn't catch that part. I mean, I knew the rule. I just brain didn't realize that the parking lot used to be a pine tree farm, whatever shit fucking it was. But yeah, there you go. You explained how the first thing that happens when he goes back in time.
Yeah, and then for whatever reason, at first I thought it had something to do with the flux capacitor, because I'm forgetting like minor details about this movie as I'm watching it, and like what I don't know why the car just keeps fucking like failing, and then also like coming back to life when it feels like it. That's kind of annoying to me.
Does it have
Plot.
to do with the fact that it's being ran on nuclear
Plot.
energy?
Just plot.
Why did it come back to life when he was getting ready to leave in the first place?
Nuclear energy is bipolar.
I mean, honestly, maybe that I believe that's the most like logical thing I've heard so far. But yeah, so he goes back to what he thought was home because he's like, wow, that was weird. I just teleported into this like field, huh? And then he goes to where the future site of his neighborhood is, and he's just like, uh-oh, there's no neighborhood here. It's all gone. And that was when his car died. And then he ditches it behind a billboard, and then we get the money shot of him and his expression as he's going through the town that he knows, but looking far different than it did earlier that afternoon. We got nickel coffees at the local, the sweatshop, not sweatshop, local diner or whatever. Sorry, I don't know why I said sweatshop. We got nickel
We time
coffees at the
traveled.
local.
We didn't go to end up in China.
Excuse me, pardon me. We got 10-cent ice cream cones or whatever happening nearby, and he's just like, fuck. Either everyone is in on this, or I went back in time.
Yeah, and he starts processing things quite immediately at that point. He then walks into what was it, the diner, local diner?
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes into the local sweatshop. I mean, diner.
You gotta stop, man.
Where I thought this part was cool. I didn't realize it like the first few times I ever watched this movie, but the mannerisms, that slight mannerisms between him and the person sitting next to him in the diner, who we find out to be his father. They have the mannerisms of both of them being like kind of like stressed or whatever, and their mannerisms are matching. I believe they both have like their hand on their head while leaning over the
counter
bar table, the countertop. Yeah. And then we get my least favorite character fucking again, Biff, who comes in to bully a young, what's the dad's name? George McFly.
Yes.
Biff
George
comes back into the diner to bully up George McFly, which is gonna happen a lot. God, I fucking hate this dude. I hate him so fucking much.
I also love this bit that they do with Biff. So, okay, I'm not saying that Biff is a tiny gent, but like he's like a 6'3", maybe 6'4" guy.
Dude big.
They do this bit like more than once, at least 2, maybe 3 times, where like he starts to like get up when he's like facing other characters, and he like slowly like looms over them, and then like it pans over to the character, and like they
Christian does it. It's called he looks normal size when he's sitting, and then he stands, and you realize he's 6'5".
Yeah, but I don't know.
Biff
Something about the way the
jacked.
camera does it.
The thing,
Is
the
he?
difference.
He's not that
yeah.
tall. He's tall. He's big, but he's not like
he's
big.
He's thick. You guys are. I don't. He's
got
thick,
girth.
guys.
I don't know about thick. All right, I'll give
What are you talking
he's
about?
like.
Did we watch the same movie?
Yeah,
I don't think he's that jacked. I don't think he's that jacked.
I don't
Listen.
either. I'll stand on
I'm pretty
Brendan
sure
with this one.
like me and him are like almost equals, and I'm not that jacked. Is all I'm saying.
Equals in what sense? Like, what are
I
we
think
talking
in
about
terms
here?
Maybe it's my psychopathic tendencies, but he like for a person who's like 6'5", if he was jacked, he'd be a little bit more intimidating. He wasn't very intimidating. He just annoyed. Like,
yeah, I agree. For a 6'5" guy, he did not look that jacked to me. I
He
think
wasn't
me and
very
him have about the same muscle percentage in our bodies, and I am not jacked.
yeah, I'll stand with Brendan on that. I don't think this man. The most intimidating thing about the dude was the fact that he always had. First off, bitch move. Dude always had like 3 dudes with him at all times. No. Second off, he's just tall. He's just a tall dude. And that's about it. And I also, when you find out, weird pitch is the McFly family. They're Irish, so you know, that's just the thing. But this dude's tall. He's taller than both the McFlys. And that's literally it. That's like this whole kind of shtick is he's a dick and he's tall.
That is 100% of his character. He's only here to piss you off, which to be fair, he does a great job of.
If that's his job, he does a fantastic job. And I wish he got shot by a Libyan nationalist. Cut that.
No, that's staying in. That's here.
That's absolutely staying in. Dylan, you leave that in. So Marty, we get the context a little bit later that Doc is like, after he convinces Doc, like, hey, Doc, I'm like a guy that talks to you in the future. Like, I got sent back in time. I need your help. And of course, Doc is like, get the fuck out of my house. Who the fuck are you? Like, I don't know who you are. And then the only reason that he got to convince him was because he was like, I know the story of you thinking of the flux capacitor. It's what makes time travel possible. And then Doc was like, the fuck?
Yes. When he does this,
after
he gets.
Go ahead.
I would say to do this, he gets the yellow pages. He goes to a phone in the back of the diner and gets yellow pages. If you don't know what yellow pages is, Google it. He gets the yellow page number for Doc's address. And on his way there, Marty McFly finds George McFly in a tree, spying on his younger, much more, and as the movie said, slimmer mother. And he calls him a peeping Tom. I thought that part was
I'm not even sure if that's supposed to be Lorraine or not.
It is. Because
I'm pretty sure it is, because he's yelling in the direction of the house for Lorraine after he runs over Marty in the next minute.
I guess that's true.
Yes. And
that is
so
fair.
The way they say it early in the movie when they're sitting at the table back in '85, how Lorraine and George met. Marty's mom and dad, which is Lorraine's dad hit George with his car, and he woke up in Lorraine's house, and that's how this all happened. But when George fell from the tree for being a peeping Tom, Marty got panicked because his dad was about to get hit by a car, pushed him out the way, and Lorraine's dad hit Marty. Marty is actually the one who now ends up in Lorraine's room with no pants.
Yeah, she was trying to get it, dude.
And
Dude,
we
she
learned
was-
immediately trying
Christian
to
put
get
it
it.
here, just a spoiler to our notes. Christian mentioned that as Lorraine was being very forward. And I told Christian before this, and I'll say it again, forward is putting it lightly. This woman was thirsty. She looked at him as if she never saw a man ever in her life. And at this point in time, if you think about the timeline, she probably hasn't. This woman had this man undressed.
I don't know
by
about
the
all that. I don't know about all that. Because
She-
even later in the movie, she like sets that record straight and goes like, "What do you think women do our age? Like, I'm 18. I mess around. Like,
I've
get over it."
parked a car before.
I parked the car before. That
Yeah,
is
like,
true.
wait,
This
she
is-
she's
drinks and she
definitely-
smokes.
You're not wrong, but my moral story is the
If
homie wakes
anything,
up,
I
no
think that
pants.
she's been here before, and that's why she's so
Deja
comfortable.
vu.
You're probably not wrong, but homie wakes up, no pants. And the look in this woman's eyes, she's breathing heavy. Like a fat kid at a Twinkie factory. She's just, you got purple underwear. I've never seen that before. It was,
Yeah, I love that. That's like so like impressive. To like, I've never seen a boy with purple underwear. Like, why are you looking at all these men's underwear?
it was, and then you remember because he makes it very apparent that this is his fucking mother, and we get introduced to a recurring theme in this movie, which Christian has mentioned earlier, which is a little bit of
Just a sprinkling of
Just a sprinkle of
incest
incestual
fantasy.
relations.
Just a sprinkle of incest jokes. Just a sprinkling of incest.
Yeah.
which is whereas before we're thinking things can get a little cringe. But yeah, we get the whole he goes down, meets his aunts and uncles, Uncle Joey, the prison bird,
Which is like the second best quote in the movie for me, where he crouches down next to that crib and he looks at his Uncle Joey and he goes, "Better get used to those bars, kid." and the
mom goes, he cries a lot, so we just like to leave him in there. He spends a lot of time in there.
Even better, she goes, he cries when we take him out.
Yeah.
So we just put him back in.
leave him.
Wow.
It's so good.
His safe place.
It's
His safe
his
place
safe
is
place.
behind bars.
Oh,
Man.
and then the entire time at the table, Lorraine, God, I'm not going to say mom for the rest of this thing because that just makes it so much worse. Lorraine is getting very handsy, trying to get handsy with Marty under the table, which makes him so uncomfortable. He asks for the directions, and then the second he gets what he's looking for, he fucking leaves. The other quote I wanted to say, which is, Lorraine, if you ever have a kid like that, I'm going to disown you.
Yeah, little on the nose humor there throughout this whole movie, which is like, I mean, that honestly, it better be. I need that like campy, cheesy nonsense.
Absolutely.
It understands what it wants to accomplish, and it accomplishes it well. That's all I need from this.
And then that's where we get to where Brendan was talking about before, where we meet Doc for the first time, and he goes and tells him about his head trauma story in order to get him to believe him that he came from the future.
Yeah, I was gonna mention and like back us up to, but what I was leading into was, and of course we get after he finally convinces Doc, and Doc's gonna start to help. He's like, all right, yeah, I'll just bum around for well, because they talk about the plan, right? They're gonna be like, oh well, 1.21 gigawatts. My favorite quote in the movie. I can't do 1.21 gigawatts. It's impossible. We'll never find it. Anyway,
mine actually was in the exact same scene, which is when Doc turns to the camera and goes, "I did it. We went back to the future. Oh, we're gonna go back to the future." And I was like, oh, there it goes. Because so many, especially when we watch a lot of these movies that are very corny and older, they always reference the title of the movie within the movie, but they never specifically say it. They always kind of weasel around. And I like the fact
didn't Jordy and us like have like a game where we were gonna watch movies, but the goal was to stop watching the movie the minute that they say the title of the movie, because so many movies do it, right?
Yes.
And we had like a running tally of like Spider-Man. You would be out of Spider-Man within the first like 10-15 minutes.
Yes.
Or maybe not all of them, but a couple of them for sure. But alternatively, like a movie like Tenet, I think Tenet doesn't get set until the end. That can't be right.
Well, there's
I
certain
think Tenet
movies
has
like,
to
for
be
instance,
set
like
sooner.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the reoccurring bit with that whole franchise, anytime they do a movie or a series with it, is every time they learn that they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they'll call them everything but. They'll be like, so you guys are Boy Ninja Turtles? No, or you guys are turtles with Ninja Turtle teenagers. And I'm just like, just say the fucking word.
just please say the line. Put me out of my
fucking say the
misery.
line. So they
Say
do.
the line,
They
Bart.
also do that often. And I was really happy when he turned to the camera. We're gonna go back to the future, and I was like, yes, thank you.
He pointed to. He's like, audience, we're doing it. This is the name drop. When he's like describing how they're going to make this whole thing happen or whatever, because he's like, I need 1.21 gigawatts, and then Marty's like, well, I know we can get a bolt of lightning from the clock tower that's gonna get struck on this day at this exact minute, and then fucking Doc is like, oh, this is great. We can work with
shit
this.
in my life.
This can happen. Then Marty's like, all right, well, now I'll just bum around for a week, and then Doc's like, no, you're going nowhere. You stay right here, mister, because we can't risk that you're fucking about with a timeline, okay? We have bigger problems if anything happens. And he's like, oh, is that a rule? Because I might have already done that.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're gonna stay right here because we can't have you fucking with the timeline. By the way, you done any fucking with the timeline lately before you got to me? And
It's like
Marty's
he
like,
knew.
ooh,
He immediately knew.
About that.
My mom slightly
My
wants to
mom
sleep with
might
me.
want it.
Yeah, my mom might want to take me to bed, which is kind of a problem.
Also, my name's Calvin Klein now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I guess I've been renamed to designer fucking clothing wear or whatever.
Well, the Calvin Klein doesn't exist at that point.
No, I know. I'm aware of the bit. I just find it funny.
At that context, at this point, it's probably a skateboarder brand at that point.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then we get the plot of. We've already established the plot, but then we get the plan. The plan of they're going to figure out how to. Oh, Doc is figuring out how to conduct the electricity so that the car can go back to the future. But as this is happening, Marty McFly. God, I thought I said Scotty for a second. Marty McFly has to now try and get his nerd of a father, his non-confrontational father.
Oh man, nerd is this dude is like I don't even know what condition to call him. Like he's got like Asperger's or something. Like I don't know what to put my finger on, to be honest with you. The dude has issues that are going severely unchecked.
Yes, and he now has to convince said dude to go up to incredibly teenage horny mother and fall in love so that, Marty doesn't get erased from existence. And we also get our bomb, our ticking time bomb for the movie, which is Marty in his wallet keeps a picture of his brother and sister and himself. And as the movie goes on, the longer it takes for him to get his parents back together, the picture starts to fade his siblings and himself out of existence until, well, if he does not get them back together, they no longer exist. Which is kind of like the urgency that we have for the movie. Is get this all done by a specific period of time so they can go back to the future, but also make sure that his parents fall back in love so that he can exist, which I feel is very important. Important. Not for this topic of conversation, but important for the movie overall.
Very important for the movie. Yes, him not existing would definitely be a problem for the movie.
Yeah, because then we can't make sequels.
And we wouldn't be here. So yeah, after this part, I'm trying to remember where we fucking go from here. I'm trying to remember what happens after this part. He goes to school.
It's a lot of...
We get a couple of things. Go ahead, Christian.
It's a lot of like... I mean, there are a few things. A lot of it is just kind of set up for what kind of goes down in the rest of the movie. Like Doc and Marty go to the school. Doc outright insults George on several occasions as he's getting kicked down the hallway, and then they find the poster, and Marty remembers the detail of how they met and kissed at
prom.
But they kissed at the dance, as Doc Brown would put it, the rhythmic ceremonial ritual. That was a good like dumb science thing that he did.
Man, I haven't been to a rhythmic ceremonial ritual in a while.
It's been a while. Then Marty comes up with various plans for trying to get George to be more assertive and confident with himself, and it kind of culminates in
his mom wanting him more.
Yes, every single time it pretty much results in Lorraine wanting Calvin Klein more and more. But there's the best part, my favorite of these tactics, and probably most people's, is when he pretends to be an alien and he calls himself Darth Vader, and he's from planet Vulcan, and he's just
oh my god, yeah, this is the bit I wanted to get to.
Yeah, just mixing up to the Star Trekkers and the Star Warsers, and of course
Darth
George
Vader
eats
from
it up.
planet Vulcan.
George eats it
Oh, yeah,
up
he's-
because
he's
he's mystery science
freaking the
theater
fuck
guy or science theater guy, whatever the show was called. And he runs and finds Marty in the middle of town, completely disheveled because he didn't sleep and woke up late and whatever other excuse he gives. And he's like, I gotta the alien's Darth Vader is gonna melt my brain unless I ask Lorraine to the dance. It's like, why is the alien so invested in this? Why is the alien so invested in you asking out this chick to prom or whatever? Why does the alien care? Doesn't
I can
matter.
only assume in 55 they didn't ask many questions.
George was not willing to ask questions because he had Eddie Van Halen playing in his ears and he didn't know what that meant. And the alien was telling him to ask out a hot chick.
Yeah.
That's all you need, honestly. Like those are all of the missing pieces
What
that
more motivation
we
could you
require.
Pretty much.
And it's at that moment that, of course, he starts following Marty's advice, only for Marty to inadvertently make his mom more attracted to him, and to the point where she stalks him and goes like, "I want you to ask me to the dance, Marty." And then he's like, "Fuck."
He then he then comes up with the final plan, which is God, I hate this. He is going to take his mom to the dance, and in order to make his mom, one, fall in love with George, but two, make Lorraine not like her future son anymore, he is going to make and I quote, an advance on her, because women don't like pushy men. I can't remember the quote, but it's pushy men are men that make advances on them. And the George has to then pull. The plan was George is going to confront Marty, Calvin Klein, and then punch him in the stomach, and he's going to be the big hero.
The problem is Lorraine is too down bad already.
Oh, yeah. we then get to the
problem
scene.
here is that Lorraine wants it, so
we then get to the scene, and Marty's like, "Mind if we park here?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, I've been." And we jump back to what you said before. I've been in a parked car before. Proceeds to get nice and comfy in her very nice dress. Takes out a flask that she stole from her dad's cupboard.
Mom's cupboard, actually.
Mom's cupboard. Starts
which I
drinking.
think is infinitely funnier to me that mom had a secret stash.
And then after Marty takes that, she pulls out a cigarette, starts smoking a cigarette. You start to realize that Lorraine has done this before.
Lorraine is definitely a child in the 50s.
So what's funny to me is that when you cut back to the scene in the beginning of the movie with future Lorraine, and she's like, "This is all women want to do, is they just want to they want to smoke things and, you know, put you onto drugs or whatever." And I'm like, "Lady, that was you. You were that woman."
Well, yeah, that's why she knows what to say.
Because she doesn't like she doesn't like Marty's girlfriend in the 80s, but before he comes back. The old Lorraine is like, "I don't like that girl you're seeing. She's a problem. She's gonna like try to do stuff to you or like introduce you to things, and I just have a bad feeling." But it's like, you see a little bit of yourself in her, Lorraine.
Precisely.
You see a little bit of yourself in that.
Yeah. And then Lorraine then proceeds to make her move on Marty, and they kiss. And in the middle of kissing, they both open their eyes and they look at each other, and to both of their astonishments, this is not Sparks Fly. She openly
I don't
says,
think it's that astonishing for Marty. I don't
think it's that astonishing.
Marty, no.
I'm glad we went this route, but like there's a universe where this movie gets made, and they come up with another way of getting them out of this.
Yes, she goes,
"I don't want to see the world where it goes any further than it did."
She goes, this doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm kissing my brother. And as Marty is trying to explain and kind of like delegate the situation, the door opens. And this is where we assume the plan is going to come to fruition. Except the person who drags Marty out the fucking car is King Dickhead himself, Biff, who is drunk and proceeds to throw Marty around and have him thrown into the back of a car. And before I talk about probably one of my favorite terms used in this movie, we have Biff, who does probably the most questionable thing in this movie, which is to make a not consensual advance on Lorraine.
He just starts trying to assault her right then and there.
Just right then and there. There is it's just straight up. Marty gets thrown into a back of a car by the Biff's, entourage, and in the car are a bunch of jazz players, in a band. And as they get out the car, they decide to stereotype these jazz players. Probably my favorite stereotype, and I also fall into, which is we don't want any problems with reefer addicts.
Okay.
Well, this is Biff's
1950.
entourage. No, I get that. This is Biff's entourage saying it to the African American jazz players that get out of the car.
And I just thought it was a funny term of phrase because to hear the word reefer, it's just I just love the term. I think it's hysterical.
No, and I mean, in the 50s, it really was. I mean, that's where Devil's Lettuce came from. It was there was like a giant, campaign from the church against it. Like this is when Reefer Madness, the original movie, came out, and everyone's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
that was the whole musical making fun of it.
In contrast of it, the guys who are I think it's funny. I think the whole scene is kind of just cool when you sit there and watch it, especially me watching it. Which is they're stereotyping these guys in the car. They're calling them reefer addicts. But mind you, dickhead dudes are the ones who just threw this kid into a back of a car. And these guys are the one helping him. And now they're trying to get him out by, trying to jimmy the lock to this trunk with a screwdriver. And they get him out. But while this is happening, George, very late, makes his way to the car where he assumes Calvin Klein, Marty, is making an advance on Lorraine. When he opens the door, he finds it's not Marty, that it is Biff. And we have Biff and George in another confrontation where Biff is getting in some arm lock or some dumb shit. Lorraine tries to help him, and Biff finally, after all this time, grows a pair and balls his fist.
George.
Hold on.
George balls his fist and not just hits Biff. He spun this dude's jaw. Biff got hit so hard.
George got the fucking mean left hook, bro.
George knocked this dude
and also Biff just has a glass jaw, I guess.
No, because we've seen earlier in the movie at the diner, Marty makes kind of like does the classic, "Oh, what's that over there?" And Biff turns to look at imaginary pointing over there. So he's completely aloof, right? He's completely off guard. And Marty takes a swing at him and he's good. But George takes a swing at him and he's aware. George hit him so hard. Dude was cold. Like he did a Power Ranger spin and was out. And I thought it was cool. And and at that point, Lorraine was just like, "This is the guy.
My hero.
My hero. Happy ever after."
And then Marty's coming back, like he's freaking out. He's like, "Oh no, the plan's going awry. I'm gonna fucking die." And then like he's like, "Oh wait, oh shit, okay, all right, everything worked out." But then he looks back at his picture. He's like, "Oh no, shit has not worked out yet. We have more to do."
And the final, to make sure that he does not die or disappear from existence, the band player who got him out of said car sliced his hand with a screwdriver, which means there's no music for this ceremonial ritual. And now they can't have their first kiss, which needs to happen in order for him to be born. So he gets his lifelong dream of playing guitar at a ceremonial ritual for a high school, and it works out. George gets to kiss Lorraine.
Where Marty invents rock and roll.
Marty then
this is the universe where Marty invented rock and roll by playing Johnny B. Good.
Yes, he invented
he comes up with skateboarding. Rock and roll. He gives the idea earlier in the movie to Wilson, who's working at the diner, to become the mayor. And he's like, "Damn, Mayor Wilson. I like the sound of that."
So many good things. And this movie had a lot of small little details that we obviously are glancing over that I don't want to, but time is a construct that we have to maintain. And Marty gets to live. Marty gets to exist.
Marty gets to live. I love that sentence. Marty gets to exist.
He absolutely shreds. He says his final goodbyes to his past mother, his young mother and father. We get a little clip, little tidbit of Lorraine going, "Marty, that's a good name," and which is, I'm assuming, how they rewrite, how Marty ends up getting his name in the new future. We then have Marty racing back to the town square where Doc is setting up the electric whatever the fuck he's doing. And Marty is trying. He's like he realizes he has one last thing to do. which is Doc really badly does not want Marty to fuck with the timeline because it can mess things up and it's not right. But Marty really badly wants to let Doc know that the last thing he remembers Doc doing before he came to this timeline was dying. And he wants Doc to know more than anything that he's going to get shot and that he wants Doc to, because that's his homie. It's his best friend. Doc's not having it though. And he rips up a piece of paper and he's telling Marty, no, I refuse this, that, and the other, you know, all this stuff. And then we have this very dramatic cinematic scene of Doc damn near scaling a clock tower, trying to attach a broken wire to two ends of a really big extension cord virtually. It's just two oversized extension cord ports. He's just trying to
I want to chime in here. This whole bit, I don't really think we need to like restate the whole scene or whatever for the audience here, but I just want to point out. So at this point, with Marty being okay, you know, he's no longer facing the oblivion. All that's left is to get him home. They have to manufacture so much fucking tension in the last 5 minutes here.
Yes.
Between the car not starting, when he gets to the start line. At one point, Marty's like, he's yelling to Doc in the wind, like, Doc, I gotta tell you about this thing. And then Doc's like, just fucking get in the car, Marty. Go home. Get out of here. I'm done with you, kid. And like the fucking thing gets unplugged by the tree. Even when he plugs it back in, it's still not completely plugged back in because the tree's still on it. It gets unplugged at the other end. It's like, oh my fucking.
My favorite is the car not starting when Marty is supposed to be going, and then the alarm clock goes off and stops, and then he can, like 10 seconds later, he can get the car going. Marty shouldn't have been on time, quite frankly.
No, yeah, he should have been fucked, actually. I'm going to level with you. He should have been fucked.
That means Doc Brown's calculations were off. And Marty accidentally buggied his way into the right timeline.
Yeah.
He buggied his way to the right timeline. Oh, man.
But you know what? It all goes off without a hitch. That's not true. There's
there
one
were
part
many hitches, but
there were many hitches.
There were a few hitches.
There's nothing that I don't want to talk about in particular. Just one. When Doc has to connect, it didn't hit me until like just now, and I'm thinking about it. There's enough electricity to send this to activate a nuclear reactor in this car, right?
Well, yeah, it's a lightning bolt.
Doc never plugged in the two wires. He became the human connection between the two.
He plugged it in.
He gets it at the same time. It's true. It just kind of like for dramatic effect, they also have him get a bit electrocuted. So
a bit, dude should have been fried.
Well, you know,
I mean, yes, that is also very true. I'm not going to disagree with that.
People live from lightning strikes. It happens.
There's an argument to be made that as long as the connection was made before the electricity got to the connector, it's most of the electricity is going to pass through the path of least resistance first. So there's an argument to be made that as long as it's connected, maybe it won't jump through his heart, but I mean, that's a pretty...
No, that's cool. I'll take that. That's no problem. Because my brain was like, man, this dude should have been fucking
Doc Brown is a lightning bender.
Yeah, I mean, if
he's Ira.
If he's holding both ends of the cable and like the electricity is coming through, he's a resistor, and the cable is technically a resistor, even though it has like...
He's got gloves on.
Yeah, like he's probably not
take it,
but he's like, okay.
But Marty... to get around the fact that Doc does not want to know about the future, goes, actually, I'm gonna set this bitch 10 minutes before the actual landing time.
Yeah, 10 minutes, ample amount of time to get your friend.
11 minutes, actually.
11 minutes.
What the fuck ever. I love that like he has an opportunity to like set himself up, and he's just like, yeah, 10 minutes.
11 minutes is fine. It's no problem. I'll just drive
honestly,
the DeLorean to the parking lot and it'll be good.
I'm just pissed. I'm upset.
I agree. He could have gone back like a whole day or two and like stocked up on weapons or something. He was like,
let's not get too crazy. That would be that. Then you'd start to face the whole, can't meet your person, you can't meet yourself or whatever in the path thing.
Because with that being said, we then get to the point where Marty does return to the future. Slams into a fucking theater, which is hysterical. A homeless guy is watching. That's funny. Car's not working. He realizes that the mystery machine, it just drove past him and is on his way to absolutely blast Doc, and he's chasing after this thing. But granted, this thing doesn't really probably go as fast, so he's catching up to it pretty decently. This seems kind of cool, and watching it, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Marty is now watching the scene that we watched
in the beginning of the movie where he gets to the parking lot and he watches the mystery machine turn the bend and start unloading into Doc, the truck, and Marty himself. He watches himself get into the DeLorean, go 88, and then go back in time. And he's watching this. I just thought it was cool that he's watching the exact same scene that we watched. It was kind of tasteful. I enjoyed it. He then gets down to Doc, who he's like, no, I could not save my boy. I couldn't save Doc. And Doc opens his eyes. And he's like, how? How did you do it?
Doc blinks, actually, because
He blinks.
Doc's eyes and mouth are both open, and it looks like he's dead. And then he blinks and sits up.
He blinks, and then he goes, how'd you do it? And then he takes out the letter that Marty wrote. He taped it up together, and he goes, what the hell? You know, why not?
Well, no, it was like Marty calls about it. He's like, yo, what about all that bullshit about, you know, like don't fuck with the timeline. Like you could do like a space-time continuum like nonsense. And then Doc just answers, he's like, yeah, well, I thought about it.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
fuck it.
what the
And he
hell?
was like, fuck it, we ball.
And,
fuck it, we ball.
and because of that, Doc gets to live, which is awesome. Marty goes home.
We love that for him, but honestly, the next two movies might have been better if you did. I'm just kidding. That's not true.
Whoa.
We would
We wouldn't have them.
We wouldn't have them.
All right, that's true. That's true.
We wouldn't
too.
have them. Doc's a big part of that. And we get that at the very end of the movie after Marty goes home, wakes up the next day, thinks it was all a fever dream, which I would too. I feel like that's a reasonable response. Goes out into his living room and realizes his family's fucking loaded.
Yeah, his life is 100% better.
He made his life 100% nicer by like giving his dad. So what I like about this movie too is that it still drove home that there are consequences to like fucking with the timeline. But interestingly enough, since we kind of had like 3 soft protagonists here, because we had Marty obviously, but they made Lorraine and George like together, like their relationship was also like a protagonist. Like we needed that to happen in order for the main protag to actually succeed. And by extension, they had a character arc that made them overall better people at the end of the day and gave them a better start to their relationship that obviously propelled them into the future.
We didn't touch upon
much stronger foundation.
We didn't even touch upon the siblings, and we won't, but when we
That's
see
because
the
they're
mom,
highly unimportant.
they're not important at all.
Yeah.
But when we get to see George and Lorraine in the future, the first thing Marty goes is like, wow, Mom, like you're in shape. Like you look great. You don't look miserable. Dad, first off, George, what a smoke show. George in the future, what a smoke show, dude.
What a smoke show.
180. Dude's got the drip. He's got the open blazer.
You know, it's kind of weird actually. George in the future, Lorraine in the future looks better, but George in the future, he's more put together.
Confidence. He
has
took
more
the
confidence.
lesson.
The only notable thing was George in the future, like the good
Has gray hair
timeline, has
now.
gray hair now. So I don't know if that's just indicative of him being the good way to take that is he's just more comfortable now.
Actually, I think I know what it is, because now that I think about it, okay, so there's like a one-off throwaway line from the oldest son about needing more or less oil right before he was going to work or whatever. Now that I think about it, I bet you he was coloring his hair, and that's the oil he was talking about.
That was kind of, that's kind of what I was getting at. I don't know if the oil thing could be taken as like he just needed
Like
to wash
slicking
his
back.
hair of all the hair gel of like he probably hadn't
could be.
showered in like three days or something. The good timeline takeaway is he has gray hair in the future because it's like, oh, he's comfortable like showing gray hair because he's just confident in himself, and so he doesn't feel the need to color it.
His confidence definitely does come from, and he says it as well. It was when they were in the 55 and Marty was there, he gave the line to his dad, which was, you can do anything you put your mind. And as cliche as that line is, this is the bread and butter to the ending of this movie was, look, anything you put your mind to, you can do it. And for whatever we can assume happened after Marty left, he found his confidence and he pursued his dreams. He did everything he had to, and that's how they came into their wealth.
And they put Biff in his fucking place.
And they put Biff in his fucking place, waxing his car.
Marty gets the car of his dreams, which is the shitty Toyota that Brendan was talking about earlier.
Listen, I didn't say it was shitty. It just looks like every other truck today with a worse body style. That's all I'm saying.
So take that as you will. And then we get Doc flying down the road, coming out of the DeLorean once again with the coolest shades ever. And
Are they cool?
we get this wraparound. We get this wraparound of Doc pulling up to Marty and his girlfriend, going, Marty, you need to come with me. We got to go to the future. And he's with his girlfriend and goes, what happened? Blah, 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 blah. He goes, oh, it's not you. You guys are doing great. It's your kids. You have to come. And then Marty and his girlfriend get into the car, and Doc goes, and Marty goes, oh, we do not need, don't we need more run space in this? How are we gonna get back to, how are we gonna go into the future? And Doc goes, we don't need road where we're going. And then the fucking wheels suck into the car. And the car begins to fly, which is absolutely awesome. And I wish
immediate CGI moment.
It is. But when you think about the time, Doc went what, 25, 30 years into the future?
30. He went 30 forward.
He went 30.
This time.
This movie always plays in 30s.
So with that being said, we do not have flying cars, and that is a very big disappointment to know that never came true.
Yeah, I obviously I've seen the next movie. I love what the next movie's interpretation of 2015 looks like.
It's so funny.
It's so fucking funny looking
living
back.
through 2015 was hilarious when people were trying to like make the things that Back to the Future 2 featured, like the self-lacing shoes and all that from which Nike, which I think it was Nike, actually made. They were just kind of shit and really expensive.
They were. But with that being said, that's the move. Do we have any more thoughts on the movie before we do anything else?
So I want to hear Brendan's fun facts, but I did want to just comment on the end of this movie as a general sense. When they filmed this movie, there were no anticipations of there being a second. So they made this movie
with the
just as a
making
fun
zero.
cliffhanger. Like this is cool. Now they went to the future.
I hate that fun fact. That's awful.
They did not plan to make another one. And then the movie got really successful and they were like, fuck, we gotta roll with this now. Not only did they make them go to the future, they set up a potential plot line. So now they had to follow through with that problem of the kids being the issue now. And also, I mean, I don't know, in case we ever watch Back to the Future 2, I read up once that the director regrets having Jennifer, Marty's girlfriend, be there at all because she's highly unimportant to the plot of the second film. And if he could like go back and tell himself younger, like when he's making the first movie, he's like, just don't, leave Jennifer out of the car, leave her in the past. It doesn't matter, because what they do in the second movie is they just sideline her for the entire thing. She's there, but not.
That's sad.
With that being said, I only have two other things. One of them can be added after Brendan's fun facts, but the only other thing I had was, as a kid, Jennifer Parker, Claudia Wells, fun fact, was actually my first ever like person crush from a movie.
Wow.
And watching it now as an adult, I feel the same way. I fucking love her. She was absolute babe, absolute smoke show, awesome. Kid me had good taste, I'll say that. But I just thought that was funny. It was one of those moments where like when you see your first crush, whether it was like from a TV show or a cartoon or whatever, you're like, wow, I remember that. That was me. The first time I saw Jennifer Parker show up in this movie. Claudia Wells, technically, but immediately clicked out. I remember being like 10, seeing this movie for the first time, and like just absolutely just like, wow, you're pretty. That's it. But fun facts with Brendan now.
Fun fact about Brendan. So I'm a big dumb idiot.
What else is new?
You're my big dumb idiot.
I may or may not have, until even this very evening, thought that this was who's the director of E.T. again?
Oh, I definitely don't know that off the top of my head. E.T.
Oh my
movie.
fucking god! What Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg
was under the impression, even as of probably 3 hours ago, before I watched this movie, that this was a Spielberg film.
I'm glad you said that, because I still think it's Spielberg's film. I thought that until you mentioned that just now.
That's not nearly as bad of a fuck up as I thought you were about to talk about.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my big fuck up. I'm a big dumb idiot, and I 100% thought that this is a Spielberg film.
I thought too. I learned about that just now when you told me.
Another fun fact.
Interesting.
With all of the swear words dropped in this movie and in this film, what do you think the rating of it was?
Isn't it PG-13 or PG?
I actually know the answer to this question.
It is
not.
PG.
It is PG rating.
Which I figured.
Which I find fucking hilarious.
Because I remember renting this from the library when I was a kid. Or I'm sorry, I remember renting this from Blockbuster as a kid. Just to show my age.
PG movie.
I don't really have any other main fun facts. I really just want to talk about how I was a big dumb idiot for about
all right.
for 30 seconds.
Me looking at the only other thing I have that I care about is there's just one small detail, and it's just because I do love the fashion and the fashion first. Marty McFly. And a lot of things that happen kind of always show up in modern times every once in a while. It's just fun. It's very playful. It's very colorful. But there is one thing that I now have to add to my attire, which you guys can go and look yourselves at. But Doc has a pair of leather Nikes. He's wearing a pair of leather high top Nikes, and I'm watching it. And it was particularly in the parking lot scene where I'm like watching him next to DeLorean. And I have to like pause and freeze frame and go frame by frame by frame to find the pair of Nikes. And I'm like, bro, why did Doc have drip? Like, the dude dressed like a slob, but had the nicest pair of Nikes.
You are getting us lost down so many rabbit holes. What? Okay, we get it. You like his shoes. All right, moving on.
But that's about it. That's all I have left. Now we get to fun and games.
Yes, fun and games time. Well, Christian, am I starting my fun and games time, or is it Christian's time?
You go.
All right, it is my fun and games time. For those of you that don't know or don't familiar, we like to play guess the budget of these movies. Well, we're not going to do all three, because if we do the other two,
we only did the first one.
Yeah, we're only gonna do Back to the Future one. I gotta say up front, even knowing what I know. So the spark notes of what we're up against is that this was just a thrown together movie. Had no intention of becoming a phenomenon as it did. You can assume that it had a very a reasonable budget to start with, and that it needless to say, it broke records at the time for just this fucking out of nowhere film that no one had fucking ever recognized, and it still has staying power to this day. Knowing all that, I'm still a little surprised by the figures I see here. So, Christian and Juan, what do you guys think the budget of this movie was?
Oh, the total budget of this movie?
The total budget. How much do you think they were given to make this movie? Go ahead, think it over. Don't talk all at once.
Well, I was gonna wait. I thought Juan had a quicker answer
no,
since he was already.
I do not. My brain is.
I happen to know that this movie was essentially made for like pennies, not literally, but like this movie did not have a large budget. I just don't remember the exact number, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna say something like in the ballpark of, I'm gonna say 25 mil.
25 mil. All right, fair enough.
It's not a lot, but it's not super blockbuster.
Pretty low.
Yeah, but it's not super blockbuster numbers of like 100 mil, you know?
Well, yeah, of course, because this was never expected or anticipated to become a blockbuster.
The same actors did future and present and past versions of themselves. So
I don't know if I wanted over or under you. But
how you
gonna over under this man?
So I'm gonna say 35 mil. I'm gonna over.
You're gonna go over?
Maybe just because I have a vague. I know like some of Steven Spielberg's like older stuff. Like the budgets.
Still not a Spielberg movie.
I know, but that's my
still
thing.
Not a Spielberg movie.
But I think it's like I'm thinking of other movies that came out around that time, and again, up until like 5 minutes ago, I thought this was a Steven Spielberg movie.
It's Robert Zemeckis, by the way.
I will not remember that, and I'll continue to call it Steven Spielberg.
Put respect on my boy's name.
All
right, fair
I'm
enough.
gonna say 35. Not because I don't respect him, just because I probably won't remember. But I'm gonna say 35. I feel like it's less than what Christian said, but I'm gonna say 35.
Well, what I can tell you both is we'll do closest gets it. Christian, you are correct, but also not. It was 19 million.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
19. This movie was budgeted for less than 20.
Yeah.
Now here's the fun question. What did it make at the box office? What did this phenomena of a movie produce at the box office?
I guess because Christian answered the last one first, I'll do this one first. I'm gonna say 800 million.
Holy shit!
800 million.
You're
Holy
an insane
shit,
man. What are you talking?
You know that would be 40 times its budget.
Yeah.
Like a slam dunk to Hollywood is like 2, maybe 3 times its budget.
My numbers are skewed mainly just because I'm going off of, like I said, I thought this is a Spielberg movie. And I
think you're overestimating how often a near billion was hit in the 80s. This is an 80s movie.
My nerdy fact is and there was another 80s movie that was made by Spielberg that I know that made
not a Spielberg movie.
I know. That's why I said my numbers are skewered. God damn it. But like I said, another movie that was relatively, same time frame, not same concept, but same feel of this movie, which was E.T., I believe was what, 800 million in the box office. That's just a nerdy fact because my dad loves that movie. So I'm kind of going off of similar takes, and I can only assume that Back to the Future is more popular than E.T. because that's my biased opinion. So I'm gonna say about 900 million.
All right, well that's fair. Christian, what do you think? Are we lower or are we north or south of 800?
Believe it or not, I'm gonna guess lower than 800 or 900 mil.
Okay.
I can assure you that E.T. is definitely a larger movie than Back to the Future.
I'm
and
sad
for
about
the simple reason of you can sell way more toys to kids.
Very true. Very true.
From E.T. than Back to the Future.
See, I own a DeLorean toy, but I never owned an E.T. toy. So that's all I'm saying.
I get that. That plays into your personality way more than anything. Yeah, I mean this movie, which isn't to demote this movie to not a success, because it was very much success. It's just a matter of
how successful.
Yeah, I think something like half of what Juan is proposing isn't unreasonable. So like,
okay,
450. If I completely have his and go like 450, that
I
might.
feel like that's too low. I feel like that's too low.
Maybe, I shot a little higher on my budget guess.
They're trying to tell me that Back to the Future made less money than Jaws?
How much money did Jaws make?
I have no idea. I mean,
Jaws is another cult classic. I mean,
I think Jaws is like 500 million. That's like
Why do you just know that number off the top of your head?
I used to watch a lot of FX as a kid.
Juan is correct. It's about 500,000.
Holy shit.
Sorry, 500 million.
I used to watch a lot of.
All right.
See, we're doing Godzilla and stuff like that. My numbers are just random. When it comes to like older movies, I'm a little bit more precise because FX played all of them.
We're in an old movie, and you were like, "I'm sorry, I haven't told you what your number was yet."
Again, that's me going off of ET. That's why.
All right, I'm gonna say 500 mil.
500 milli. Is that your final answer?
I'm gonna lock that one in.
Christian, you are probably to no one's surprise much closer.
Let's see, yeah.
I will say you still shot a little too high. It was 388.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So basically 400 million. This movie made 20 times its budget. So it's not like it did bad.
No.
Like this is still like a slam fucking dunk. In fact, in my mind, I didn't realize the budget was as low as it was. I thought it was still like a 30, maybe $40 million picture because it still had a little bit of special effects. I think I underestimated like how much practical effects with like the makeup and the de-aging and re-aging that they used in this movie to like get rid of a lot of the stuff they had to do. And looking back, I mean,
by that
it only made 400 million.
Only made 400 mil.
In comparison to a lot of other movies,
made 20 times its budget.
In comparison to other movies that came out at the time, I love this movie a whole lot more than the other one. So, like on a personal basis, I feel like it could have made more. I feel upset. I feel disappointed.
Well, I would agree that I like this better than Jaws or E.T., but
yo, fuck you! Don't you dare put E.T. a bad name of E.T. in your fucking mouth.
I'm not ragging on E.T., but E.T. did make like 800 million.
I'm gonna go on record and say I like Back to the Future more than E.T.,
100%.
which is not to say that E.T. is bad.
That's a little wild. I don't think I can stand on that. I don't think I can stand on that.
I agreed with you earlier in this, but now I'm gonna agree with Christian for this take. But yeah, I agree. I like Back to the Future way more.
Wow, that's a take. I don't think I can't.
It's also coming from this is also the opinion of a bunch of 90s kids talking about 80s movies. So
I'm gonna go to this other hill with Spielberg movies.
You sit there and I'll start shouting these Letterboxd reviews over to you. How about that?
Sounds great.
Yeah,
it's time for me to take the L's.
Yeah. Let's all right. So as usual, I've collected a couple of my favorite Letterboxd reviews and
Letterboxed.
That's what did I not did oh sorry, the D wasn't pronounced enough for you. Letter D box.
Letter D box.
Starting with the review that I found that happens to have the most likes on Letterboxd letterboxd.com.
Leatherbox.
Letterboxd.com. And it says, when they all shout shit and then get shit dumped on them, that's cinema. 5 out of 5. Perfect.
Well,
which is a moment we
well-
slightly glossed over, but it's when Biff's car gets hits the back of a manure truck and they get shit on them and they yell shit just before it happens.
Are you asking me what the rating of this?
I am, yeah.
5.
Okay, hold on. This has to be a bait. No,
I'm
he
saying
wouldn't. He
5.
wouldn't put it in the list.
I don't care
No,
if
he
it's
wouldn't
not.
put it in
I'm
the
putting it a
list.
5. I'm
He-
giving it a 5.
He put it in the list because it wasn't a 5.
And I'm giving it a
He
5 because
said
I love the
5
scene.
out. He said he wrote 5. Let me fucking talk, Juan. He wrote 5 out of 5, and then immediately responded by rating it a 4 out of 5, guaranteed.
Is that your final answers?
That's
Yeah.
my final answer.
100%.
You just got reverse psychology, Brendan. This was absolutely a 5-star review,
No!
baby.
I won for the first time. I
God
won.
damn it!
I got my first
You
win.
knew exactly what comment to pick to fuck with my head.
I win. I've won for the
No.
first time. Let's go.
Good
There's
job.
no trust left in this show, man.
Just go back
Oh,
in time
man.
and fix it. That's all.
Yeah, just go back and fix the timeline one day.
God damn it.
So good. Oh, that worked out so well. I love this. All right. next review. This one was so on Letterboxd. When you write a review, you have the option of like spoiler marking it, so it'll tell you when you first scroll on it, it'll say this review may contain spoilers. I can handle the truth, and then you click on I can handle the truth. So a lot of time, 9 times out of 10, it's just a regular review for the show. But this one was or movie. But this one is the 3rd most liked review. So I clicked it to see that generally the most liked reviews are either very, very in-depth reviews for the movie or they're funny. So I hoped and received a funny review for My Troubles. And it goes like this. If Marty McFly was my son, I'd consider incest too.
5 out of 5. Yeah.
I'm gonna say 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, you Justin now? 5 out of 5.
Well, he's also you. You're the Price is Writing guy also.
You're not wrong. No, last time I did this, I just pulled the Justin and said 3.5 for like 4 out of the 5 questions you asked me. But I'm scoring
That is
5 of
also
it.
true.
I'm gonna say 4.5.
All right. This review was another 5-star review.
God damn
I'm
it!
a winner.
I can't trust that people are honest. I don't believe them. I don't believe that you would pick the honest fucking ones. You're gonna find the ones that sound honest and then throw like a fucking, like 3 out of 5 on there. God damn it. All right, go ahead.
3rd review. There's a little bit less context to what the star rating might be, or if you're Brendan, there's all the context you need, depending on how you want to reverse psychology, forward psychology, future psychology this. Christopher Lloyd has been 1,000,000 years old for 1,000,000 years, which goes back to one of my favorite quotes of the movie of him going like, "Oh, I look so old there." It's like, no, you look like you there. That's you,
look like you
Christopher
there.
Lloyd.
I'm gonna say he's looking out for my boy. That's a 5 out of 5 review.
4.
Final answers.
Yeah.
Final answer.
That Brendan.
Oh, no.
Brendan.
I'm so worried.
You got it this time, buddy. That was
Awesome.
another 5-star review.
yeah. We did it. But
So-
one got 2 already, though.
Well, there's always time to catch up.
Yeah, there's still time. Okay, go ahead.
2 more. I got 2 more reviews for you, so you have ample opportunity. The 4th review. We can't keep letting Freud win.
I don't have no idea of how to do
I
this one.
say
So I'm gonna do a shout out
That's-
for Justin and just 3.5 this.
that's a 4-star review.
Ooh. For the first time
Oh,
tonight,
no.
neither of you have gotten the correct answer.
No.
This was a 4.5-star review.
Wow, that's awkward.
God damn it.
All right, final chance for Brendan to tie or for Juan to
Juan
take a
to run away.
commanding lead, and maybe even get the first 3 correct ones in a night. I don't remember. I should
I'm
really
sure
start keeping
that'll
track
be the first
of this.
time. There's no way.
but we'll see what happens. So for this one, normally I like to just kind of stick to, it'll be sorted by the most likes that the reviews had. But I started getting kind of bored after going through 5 or 6 pages of reviews. So I decided to turn it into the newest reviews.
Okay.
And so I got reviews
You're gonna tell
starting
me a
from
Rick and Morty review, aren't you?
as no, latest as in like most recent. So I was
Yeah.
looking at reviews that happened in like the last day or two for
Yeah.
Back to the Future. Yes,
Okay.
people were looking at people were on Letterboxd making reviews for Back to the Future as early as, actually it was pretty funny. I was seeing reviews there for like that had like the 26th today. Today is January 25th, so Letterboxd is accounting for time zone differences, and so I was seeing reviews from January 26, 2024. I thought that was crazy. Anyway, the review goes like this. I would use the car to go back to OG Fortnite.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I'm standing on this one.
1 star.
I just I gotta get into that mind of this fucking memer,
1.5,
dude.
sorry,
What does he
1.5. Let me
want?
change that.
What does he want? I think he does want to be a fuckhead. I'm gonna say
1.5.
he's here with a 4 out of 5. He's here with a 4 out of 5.
Unfortunately, neither of you have gotten it. Once
fine.
again, this was a
It's a
resounding
5-star.
5-star review.
I knew it. I knew it. That was my second like impulse was like, this is gonna be a fucking either 5-star review or he's just out here to get his fucking name out there, and he put like a 4-star in there.
Nope, that was a 5-star review, my friends.
God damn it.
It was very hard to find anything funny, especially that wasn't just 5 stars. Everybody loves this movie.
Right.
But it didn't
It's a
make
good
more
movie.
than E.T.
It's very good movie and better than E.T.
It made a lot less than E.T. I was almost going to say exactly how much, but I don't want to say how much E.T. made in case other people want us to do E.T.
I think I said
Well,
it twice.
Nobody's ever taken us up on that since we've done this. You know, we keep mentioning Basil and other shitty Jared Leto movies, but they never
Somebody
make
is
us
gonna
watch
make
those. So
Our ass watch Basil. Somebody's going to do it.
No
For
shot.
sure.
And if that's the case, then I gotta rue my own words, and I'll have to watch it, and I'll sign up for that one. I'll fucking
Somebody is going to make us watch Basil, guaranteed.
eventually.
At some point, if anything, Taco's going to do it.
no, Taco's gonna. If Taco ever does this level again, he's gonna make us watch Snatch.
I would. fucking
Another Guy Ritchie film, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sequel, the not sequel to Lock, Stun, and Two
Spiritual
Smoking Barrels.
successor. Yeah, it's the spiritual successor to Lock, Smoking Barrels or whatever.
But yeah, I always wish that I remembered the fucking the social media links and the end thing for this, but I don't. So someone else do it.
Christian, this is like practically your show. You do it.
I will. First to start, I would like to thank our Lord and Savior Twigo for the recommendation this month.
Thanks, Twiggo.
Thank you,
homie.
we love you.
We love you, Twigo. And with that being said, if you would like to follow us more closely on social media, we have a Twitter and Instagram that's at Panda Sightings. If you'd like to be like Twigo and a host of other very generous individuals, you can find us on Patreon at Panda Sightings as well. If you would like to communicate with us on a more frequent basis, we have an email. It's pandasightings@gmail.com, or you can find us in our public Discord. If you navigate to the link tree on our social medias, you'll be able to find the link for the Discord there. If you happen to know us and but don't know our other podcasts somehow, we review One Piece every week, and in relation to that, we have a Redbubble store with a bunch of cool stickers that you can apply to whatever you want, as well as turn it into other various products that Redbubble offers. You can find the link for that in the description of the podcast as well. And with that being said,
Will we also have a YouTube now?
That's true. Thank you for reminding me. You can find this podcast now on YouTube as well. They've recently integrated a RSS feed into it, so we have made the transfer of not only all of these Panda View episodes, but also all of our One Piece episodes. So if you're a frequent YouTube user, you can find us there now too.
And this movie was generally a cult classic. And if you guys have a scene that you guys liked from this movie that you guys would want us, mention or just talk about, write to us and let us know like what your favorite thing or scene or just aspect of this movie was.
What he said. Thank you for
Do what
joining me,
he said.
gentlemen. It was a pleasure, of course, as always.
Anytime.
All right. That being said, thank you and goodbye.
Night. We've got to go back to the future.
We gotta go back.
Just kidding.
We gotta go.
We gotta go back to the future, Morty.